this is the final talk of the droidcon, so I do appreciate your efforts for coming today and for my talk. It's great seeing such many enthusiasts for code AOSP, no time to EOL. Droidcon been okay? Yeah? Yeah, that's what I like to see. Good job. Good job speakers, good job organizers, it's been awesome so far. So, you as might see, yeah, no time to EOL might not be your app development territory. So, for app developers, welcome. This will be an introductory talk. You'll be easy to follow today. And for AOSP developers, maybe some previous attendees who came to my last year's talk, this will be a new adventure, a new twist on the AOSP source code, and we'll learn more about no time to EOL. So, time to get started. As an agent Gatt, it is important for me to have the best Android device. These shades are pretty dark, so I'm going to take them off. Point made. So choosing the first step to my mission to get started is choosing a perfect Android companion. We'll discover what needs to be fulfilled, what are the requirements to having such a good device. That will be covered up next. Following the realization of end of life, sounds scary, basically death, in a different way, don't worry. No souls have been taken yet. Which gives us a perfect segue to custom ROMs and the open source project of custom ROMs. It cannot be custom ROMs if it's not open source. We'll figure that out later. It's a puzzle that might sound confusing right now. So much so far? Yep, we'll get through it. The mission takes place, of course, with custom ROMs, and we follow with installing the ROM, right? We can't just look at the custom ROM, enjoy everything about the custom ROM until it is flashed. So, a whole new procedure. You won't be lost, don't worry. It'll be quite simple and quite fun at the same time. So, following that, beneath the surface is really interesting, so we'll give a look, a sneak peek at the source code analysis. Whilst looking ahead. So let's get started with our partner. It's 2017, some context. I am quite picky with my device. I am working in an agent role, so knowing that my Android device can fulfill its requirements of having stable, up-to-date software, sounds easy. The latest API levels, since I use internal apps which require the latest Android support, so we need to make sure that that's clear. Whilst having latest security patches, I can't have people sneaking into my encrypted messages for some agent texts and whatnot. So the security patches from Android to stop vulnerabilities from happening, very helpful. So it was a no-brainer to go with the Google Pixel 2 XL in 2017. It even gives me the liberty of having Android beta updates. Yeah, sounds cool. I can get my stuff ready for the next version. Sounds like a dream come true. So at $100, my budget with the MI6 seemed very reasonable. And it should last for a while now. Yeah, we did. So we started with API level 26 on Android 8.0 Oreo. And the same year, Google released 8.1, which was another incrementation of the API level to 27. Android 9 with Pi. The next API levels, you know how it goes, we're counting up numbers. It's important to know that during these times we had the latest API levels, so nothing crashed, performance was stable. Yeah, I'm doing my work. And 10 and 11. So it's 2020, and 11 seems to be the last one on this chart here. But that means end of life. Yep, it's 2020 guys, and Google has halted updates for the Google Pixel 2 XL and the Pixel 2. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? So looking back at my requirements, The newest API level, lost with Android 12. Pity, my apps won't work anymore. This is already a lot. I'm already in a situation where I don't know what to be. Alongside the API support, drops the security patches. Android 11 doesn't need to be supported anymore. There's Android 12. There's Pixel 3 getting updates, Pixel 4 getting updates. You get the drill. I'm not getting any of those. Yeah, and no feature drops, you know. I've been halted updates in December 2020, which means that I didn't even go through a full section of platform stability. Since Android 11 ends at around August, September, where it's fully stable, and I stopped at December, which means I'm missing out on new bug fixes, new smaller vulnerabilities, exploitation patches. So this is a problem. I require all of these requirements to be fulfilled. So what can I do? Buy a new phone? Not really. My balance doesn't agree. You know, the MI6 did not invest as much budget as they did in 2017. I only have €21.37. And I'm eyeing at the Pixel 7 Pro, which is around 800. Yeah, I need to go overtime, I think. But it also just doesn't make sense, does it? I have a flagship phone from 2017. It should be powerful enough to just increment its version updates. So even if I had the budget, I'd be contributing to e-waste. It's just another phone. Yeah, I need to fulfill my task with the latest version, and I cannot, so I just toss this away. Doesn't make sense. There must be another way, right? Yeah? Why not? Custom ROMs. Custom ROMs are unofficial distributions of the Android operating system. And who makes them? Developers like us in the hobbyist community, not people from a company. We are free to do our own work to continue making unofficial versions of the Android operating system work on our phones. They are alternative flavors of the Android operating system, so not a Google flavor as such in this case, because you can have different skins, you can have different apps. You know, so we'll cover a bit of differences later on to see what options we have, especially with respect to the Pixel 2. But custom ROMs in general, they sound enticing. They're made by hobbyist developers. It's a team effort, an unofficial team effort like us, and everything is open. So if you want to take a look at anything, you can. And yeah, it sounds enticing, but it also sounds very complicated. There's a lot of things. I mentioned different flavors, different devices, many developers. So you might get confused, which is no problem because help is always on the way. With many forums such as XDA, 4PDA, and even Telegram group chats, you can find catalogs of devices with different custom ROM flavors, custom kernels, guides, reviews, anything you can think of, you're covered, as long as you have an Android device, right? So yeah, don't feel like it's too overwhelming. For newcomers, even for somebody who has never heard about Android custom ROMs, people like us, developers, can lead you in the right direction to get started, choose your own flavor to get started, and if you, even later on, if you come across hiccups or like stops between your errors or whatnot, we can help you out. The group chats are quite helpful and active, yeah, very active. Shameless plug for my chat. Yeah, if you want to join, you know where to find the link. So let's take a look at XDA on my chat. That seems like a bit cluttered right now. So for the Pixel 2 XL, I simply just went on the website and looked up the Pixel 2 XL forums, and I went into the ROMs, kernels, recoveries, and other section, which interests me since that's where custom ROMs are. You can find ROMs like NinjaOS, Pixel Experience, CR Droid, the Kilo list. Okay, yeah, sounds like a variety, even some flavor. Yeah. So yeah, we have 4 I'd say LineageOS. It seems like the most easy to go to custom ROM because it's the most popular one, I'd say. With the latest API level on LineageOS 20 means that I get to enjoy features on Android 13. Sounds right. That's one check done. Requirement is fulfilled. If it means it's up to date, it also has regular support. Security patches. Yeah. My device is secure, I can know that the latest patches for vulnerability and exploits are covered with the latest updates on a monthly basis, even on a weekly and a nightly basis. So, yep. With over 100 devices to support. So, yep, I have a Pixel 2 XL, you may have a different brand of phone. That is absolutely no problem. Even with official support and unofficial support, you can find something, especially with Lineage, that suits your needs. But it obviously isn't the only custom ROM to look at. We saw a few more before. So let's generalize a bit. Why custom ROMs? As I mentioned before, there are teams behind custom ROMs. So the commitment to it is quite dedicated, I would say. As I said before, this satisfies my niche case, so e-waste can be prevented. I don't need to buy a Pixel 7 Pro, even if I had the money for €800. So I'm keeping it to this device, which was a flagship, and I'm going to stick with it for future years to come. So future-proofing what is already good, and the hardware which is already compatible with it. There are different flavors of custom ROMs, I said, so if LineageOS isn't for you, if Pixel Experience isn't for you, if CR Droid isn't for you, they'll eventually either be one for you, you can make your own custom ROM with different looks and feels and applications which are pre-installed and optimization features. So yeah, you're not out of the equation over there. And when custom ROMs are typically built, they are made with a team effort, so you have people who are working on the base code, and you have, especially which concerns us with a Pixel 2 XL, are device maintainers. So if you have a device maintainer working for your device, all technical specifications will be in mind. So if I have speakers, camera, everything should be in working order, as it should, for this stable daily driver use. And security patches, yeah. Our requirements are full, and so should yours. Disclaimer, we are changing code from our device. We're delving deep in a territory where we are changing things on base level. So you have been warned, you have to be cautious when doing this type of procedure. Before I get started, it is noteworthy that instructions by each ROM developer is made clear, not just for decoration, but for your use case. So please take a look at it. It may be different according to your device brand or OEM. So make sure, please guys, make sure that you are following the right procedure, because it will be worth it. Yeah, you can agree on that. And yeah, you do not want to know what happens if you go in the wrong direction, because some cases may lead to irreversible effects. So let's double check that. Alright, that's clear. Let's start Mission AOSP. Alright, so to get started with Mission AOSP, we need to know what AOSP is, right? So that's the first thing we need to tackle. If you want to start modifying our devices, we need to learn about bootloaders. There is something we need to interact with in this procedure. So yeah, we need to know what it is and how to unlock it. And installing recovery images on it, because we need to change our operating system. It just makes logical sense to go that direction. And once we're ready, sideloading a custom ROM just seems like the right thing to do. And we're pretty much done. For which we have extra time to spare to analyze some of the code which goes behind the scenes. Alright, AOSP. So, AOSP stands for the Android Open Source Project. Cool. What does it mean? So Android, as a platform, make goals, distribute, establish, and expand. So, by being open source, it is available on the web. It's made for free, for developers like us to use, again, not for decoration. made for use cases. That's what Android is meant to be doing. Even on a general market, it makes sense to make use of AOSP since that's the base code you're going to start modifying. So that's distribute, establish. AOSP has a group of repositories on android.googlesource.com, which you can, this is there, and everything is up to date on the latest version, because that's where Android meets its updates first. To establish the Android environment and ecosystem from a part of repositories, which we will cover later. And expand. By being free, it just kind of makes sense. It's a large user base, many people and developers like you guys to make use of. So if you want to start with a platform, it's good to expand the Android OS by making it public and free. As you can see here, it's not quite a JIT, but platforms like AOSP make use of platforms like Garrett, where you can collaborate with other developers, and if you have suggestions and patches to make, you can push a review, which will later be reviewed by people who are responsible for taking care of the Android source code to eventually either merge it, comment, and give you feedback, or if it's not suitable, just ditch it. But regardless, there's the opportunity, and we respect that point of the Android open source system. And yeah, obviously, you might be asking, okay, it's open. Isn't that a gate for vulnerabilities? It could be, and it could be not. You can see it in two ways. People like us can contribute. If we are good at security, we can give our patches to the AOSP source code for it to be merged. So that's a counterbalance. I think it balances out that we have many talented developers working on Android, even at a low level. Similarly, custom ROMs like LineageOS have their own Jerry platform. Now, okay, it's the same principle, different execution, since custom ROMs are way smaller level. So you have more priority when it comes to pushing your patches, sending your device to official if you want to become a device maintainer, and even fixing bugs in source code. So, okay, I have an issue with this device, minor one, because of course we have platform stability. I'll just send this comment, which I found of research and work, which can later be reviewed from other AOSP maintainers, our LineageOS maintainers, respectively. So you think you have a patch to make and a difference to make, then feel free. AOSP, LineageOS, they all have the review platforms for your voice to be heard. Okay, that's clear. We know that we have the reassurance of platforms, and they have our side for open source. Let's start getting into the very, very hot stuff. So bootloaders, their own devices, like my laptop, like my phone, like my watch, everything has a bootloader. It's like a car. It gets you from point A to point B. Device boot up to operating system. Sounds simple enough, right? Yeah, not quite. It also has some security features. Of course, you can't just let anyone tamper with your device. You have a screen lock on your device, which encrypts your data, and you can't let somebody get through this feature with a bootloader. You can't just like wipe your system or like steal your data. So bootloaders are in control of this. They make sure that when you are using your device, you are the actual user of the device. And obviously, if you want to unlock your bootloader, which we'll do later on, you are the person who is making the choice to do this. So, unauthorized data handling, bootloader is off right now, so no, not all today. Whilst obviously we'll make use of accessing different partitions on our device later on by the bootloader, because we don't need to get into this operating system before we get back to the bootloader. Yeah, it's confusing. We'll just use this, it will be way simpler, and it will be way easier to understand. So yeah, we know what the bootloader is, but to make changes, we need obviously to get through this, we need to remove our system, so unlocking the bootloader is the way to go. Alright, how to get to the bootloader first? I mean, you can't unlock it before you're in it. So, combination. 2 XL by holding volume down and power for around 10 seconds from shutdown. You'll get into the bootloader. You connect your phone to the device. Google makes use of platform tools. Some of you may know it. ADB people? Yeah, ADB people, you guys know. And not just ADB. First, we'll be using fast boot tools. So, over here, to unlock your bootloader, first, you need to go into your developer options. To make sure it's you, you have to put your pattern in, And the setting of OEM unlocking, after tapping the build number for 5 times, and the toast message telling you are now a developer. Which you may not be, but yeah, you are a developer according to that. You have to go to the options and do OEM unlocking, but that's only part of it. That allows you to unlock the bootloader. So, combination, terminal, platform tools, fast boot, flashing unlock for Pixel 2 in this case, and your bootloader is unlocked. Sounds simple, right? Step 1. It's pretty simple. So, next part, the recovery image. Now, you do have like a recovery image by default on your device, a stock recovery image. However, we'll be making use of the custom ROM's recovery image because it was made for the custom ROM. So we'll be installing Lineage OS recovery from the build we'll be installing. In this case, well, again, instructions matter here. So for my Pixel 2 XL, I'm flashing it to the boot partition. Then I go to the recovery partition, and it's there. Right? Apart from installing the ROM, the custom recovery will let us wipe the device, make changes, and even use ADB on a lower level. So, yeah, sounds good. Let's wipe the whole thing. Go to the option, format data, boom. Nothing affiliated. Yep. If you're formatting data, back your data first. Right? You don't want to have your pictures go on like that. Yeah, so make sure you back up your data to transfer over. Okay, computer, yep, pictures transfer, good. Alright, you have the data. We can finally cycle. So, we have the previous recovery image that we've downloaded and installed. Now we have our main zip file, which is a flashable zip file. In this case, it could be like image 20, Tayman, and the date, and official or unofficial or signed. So different variants of the build, it's a zip file. So point to that in your terminal, in DB sideload, zip.image, or .zip or .image, and yeah, go get a coffee. It will be like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, it will be okay. Come back, and yeah, you'll see this beautiful line here, which means that your total transfer has been successful. Yeah, I'll take my water. What, take your tea? Anyways, we've gone a reboot, and here we are. We're on Lineage OS. Simple as that, right? Alright, recall the requirements, new API level, check. We're on Android 13, makes sense, we have my agent tabs are back. Sorry guys, I've been on Android 11 builds, now I'm on Android 13, yeah. Coming back into mission. The latest security patch, in this case, it's July. So July 2023 security patch has been merged and has been compiled on my device and published. And stability, yeah. I can go around my phone after this setup, do anything I want, and there's no hiccups. Actually quite quicker than before. Because platform stability has been achieved at this rate, and obviously many developers have contributed to this device, so yeah, bugs shouldn't be the case here. Who knows what it is? Plus, we have some bonuses. Obviously, Lineage OS is quite open. It comes very bare bones, so say I don't want some specific app. Maybe I don't want Google Photos to install on my phone. Yeah, you have the option not to have it as a system app or disable it or any of that crap. You just come with the stock image app, the stock apps, which makes you dictate what you can do with your device. Plus, you can give it a different look or feel. You know, even with some modules, with Magisk and whatnot, you can make your device feel different, do different tasks. So, your device, fresh coating of paint, And yeah, you dictate what you do on your device. It's cool. It's cool. Slight beneath the surface teaser here is Pixel 2's code. Yeah, this isn't code, it's just a tree. I'm just making it easy for you to read. Don't be scared. This isn't a coding session. As you can see, the Pixel 2's code primarily is made up of a device tree, a kernel, and a vendor. Vendor blobs, plural. So, in this case, our Pixel 2 has a common tree. It's not your normal device and one repository. It's Payman, Wahoo, and Olay. Funny names, yeah, Wahoo? Okay. Wahoo is basically the combination of Payman and Olay. Since these devices are basically just smaller and bigger versions of each other, it makes sense to point to a directory where the config files are the same. So yeah, you don't need to point to here and have duplicate code. It just makes sense from bring up from Google. So yeah, same goes with kernel. You don't have a separate kernel for the smaller device or the bigger device, just a kernel for one. However, for blobs, it makes sense because the device is made by different OEMs, and vendor blobs dictate the specifications and apps pre-built for the device. So, say I have camera blobs, they dictate exactly how the camera behaves in the operating system, so I can't have those intertwined exactly. What's a device tree? Yeah, there are KMK files, or make files, which tell you what house to build, what services are pre-included, and many more. And the kernel, finally, is probably the most strayed away from here. It's closer to Linux versions, so it works on the same principle as any device does with a Linux kernel. Brought up with drivers, many configs, and flags predetermined by default. All right, that's one section. Let's take a step back and see the whole picture. The Android source code, it's big. Yes, when you synchronize your source code with a manifest as shown by AOSP's code, it's quite big. I split them up in small sections. So the device source code makes this part of it. The build system dictates how the compiler works, where it needs to look at. So if I want to make a firmware, okay, I'll fetch this from here. Okay, fetch this from here. And we'll put these all together so we have a flashable zip file. We have runtime, the core system. I don't need to bore you. I'd say that the biggest part of the Android source code is dictated from framework/base. That's where all the logic and beneath the surface happens in the Android operating system for common devices, not just for Pixel 2. Whilst having obviously packages which might concern more people if they want to include applications as a system app, you put your app in the packages directory so it's pre-built by default and obviously shipped to the consumers or yourself. So if I want to have a different camera app, a different gallery, a different etc., I can make that happen without adding extra load. Yeah, and the hardware repository comes handy in our case because we're building on actual hardware. So if there's a Qualcomm repo, since this is a Snapdragon 835, it makes sense to have Qualcomm hardware blobs and repositories. In case of an emulator, probably this, it's okay. But obviously, we can get into that and spend the whole day for a whole other mission. So, yeah, I'm not gonna keep you here till tonight, guys. It's going to be something you can even look up if you're just very curious to take a sneak peek ahead. If you're venturing forth to the dangers of AOSP and EOL, you can do that. But let's recap, we already did so much so far. We have a phone running the latest firmware. Let's recap. So, successful mission. Yeah, I can work now. I'm an agent. Back to my secret duties. I'm telling you that. Keeps to myself. We have discovered AOSP. It's a very useful tool. Thank God for it, right? Or else we wouldn't have been able to proceed with our mission. We have learned about custom ROMs and what they're made on. So thanks to AOSP, custom ROMs exist. And thanks to custom ROMs, we unlock our bootloader, install a custom recovery and side loader ROM, whilst investigating the environment. So yeah, if you want to do that, do it on your device. Make sure that you take extra caution with the instructions. And I am very open to your questions. So thank you very much. If you do have any questions, please feel free to do so.
Hi, I have one question. I had experience some years ago, through the years basically, with different custom ROMs, with different smartphones such as Xiaomi and others, and I noticed one problem. Most of the custom ROMs have the problems with the battery life. And as I understood, the most of maintainers just can't get access to closed model about, I don't know, the throttling settings for CPU and others, and it's still just very poor battery life. Why is happening this? Maybe you have the answer, the basic general answer. Why it's a problem for most of the custom ROMs?
So bugs? Let's summarize, it's bugs.
Bugs in ROM?
In ROMs. Yeah, obviously it depends on the situation. For example, on Pixel 2, we do have platform stability at the latest version. But yeah, bugs can differ depending on what's available and what developers are ready to contribute. So if there are different devices with maybe less developers, they do have different kind of issues.
What kind of issues?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the battery life. A poor battery life. That's everything works fine, but battery drains very fast. On the custom ROM, but on the vanilla ROM, everything is okay.
Yeah. Of course. Is it the same version?
For example, some version. Yeah, I tried this trick on the Xiaomi, and on Xiaomi it is a very bad situation, for example.
Yeah. It could still vary, yeah. So yeah, the many devices, many different ROMs, and maybe some devices are easier to bring up on stock AOSP level, which is close to custom ROMs. Maybe some others don't. So yeah, unfortunately they do exist, and yeah, if you want to elaborate, maybe I can take a deeper look later on. We can do so after the event, maybe not to spend too much time on one device in front of an audience.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, thank you for the talk.
You're welcome.
I was screwing around with ROM back in 2014, so nice to see that not that much has changed, except maybe the flash times. But the times for flashing the ROM to the device, it's a bit faster now. Anyways, it's one thing when you check out the source and then do some hacky stuff to it and flash it on your device. It's a completely different thing when you want to contribute. So I was looking into contributing to Android or maybe a custom ROM, and where would I start there? So let's say I have checked out the repo, I've set up my Linux distribution, I'm ready to go.
Yep.
Now what?
Now what? Okay, so in your case, would it be more like device specific? Do you have a device in mind, or would you just like to change the custom ROM on a global scale?
Just on a global scale, nothing specific.
Yeah, so if I point back here, you have pretty much all of this changed. Like when you sync the manifest for Android environment, you can change build system if you really want to. I don't know why. But if you want to make it more like, if you want to add a different UI maybe, take a poke at frameworks as base, where the bigger logic and the system UI is handled, or yeah. If you want to add apps to customize your ROM to have your app, for example, you add that to packages. If you want anything, you can just really point in any direction.
Wouldn't that make people very angry at me for just adding some random code or adding my own app, for example.
Repeat the first part.
Wouldn't people get angry at me if I did that?
It's called the custom ROM. Or made your own standards. And that's okay. Depends who your audience is for. Again, you need to custom ROMs take extra caution to market their product. So yeah, I mean, they could get mad at your code, but they also could be really happy with your code. So that's a direction you can take. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hello.
Yeah. Hi. My question is, how does one go about working with a completely new device tree? Say a custom ROM hasn't been ported to a particular device yet.
Yep.
Where do I look if I have a new device? Where do I look where do I start in order to port a particular custom ROM to my device?
Yep. So that's a really good question. I faced that quite multiple times. It starts. I usually like starting from the stock firmware that's given. So some brands and OEMs like to distribute their source code for the stock ROM, like the device tree, the kernel, not the vendor. And then I start working on that. I compile it with the vendor blobs, which are extracted via a script. So the binary files, those things which dictate what happens in the behavior of the device. You plug that in to your PC and you run EDB script, and it basically extracts them into a directory. And then what I like to do is I see what works even on a newer version and what doesn't. If you stop between the boot process and whatnot, you look at the kernel logs, and if you are able to take ADB logs, you see what service is crashing. And you start building your way until you boot into Android, and then hopefully achieve platform stability. Hope I responded to your question.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. If there's any more questions, feel free to meet me around the last months of droidcon. And if you also can't find me there, make sure to contact me either on my email